Hey everybody, welcome to Chris and Angel's channel. So, today's topic, we are going to be talking about toxic friends.
Ooh, wait.
So, real friends, who are your true friends, and who are your fake friends, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We're gonna talk about, who are your true friends and who are your toxic friends. We would like to discuss about this topic due to recent events.
Yes.
Recent events.
Because remember last video I talked about during the pandemic, it showed where once you are used to being in one environment, but it's different when you like disperse. And then it's like a true testament of like, is this still gonna be how it is? Can you take that out of that comfort zone, if you will, and still manage to stay united? Well, that is a deciding factor of today's.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, now this also has to relate to the previous video.
Yep.
And about how we cut off our friendship. And so I started like realizing that Crystal was a good friend. Kind of with, it was like it's mixed with the friends I was friends with at the time, because I was thinking, they don't necessarily do certain things like Crystal did, or just any friend that would, do. Yeah. And this is also going to be part of another topic that we're going to be discussing about, and it's about church. So, get a little bit of an insight and how this all gradually came to what happened in recent events a few months ago. 2018, I was going to Hilltop, shout out. I was going to that church for my first 2 years, and going into my junior year. And a friend of mine at the time invited me to her church, so I went there, okay? And over time, this church, they kind of branched out of their church, and they wanted to build a church especially for young people and towards college students to young adults. There's no problem with that. And I'm not saying anything bad, like, oh, don't go to that church. I'm just saying this was my experience. So they just started the church, and we were on different campuses, okay? So because they, we don't have enough money to like, pay rent. Also, it's just starting. So yeah. All the students that were going to this church, there were some of us. There was one person, somehow they had connections with Harvard. So we had church on the Harvard campus as well as Leslie, and I got them to have church on my campus as well. So every other week, whatever room was available, okay? And there's no problem. And I really loved the environment because it's different. They're very on fire for God. Yeah, I'm not gonna go into it too much because that's a different topic. Ooh. Okay? So I was serving, I was helping them. They needed a lot of help. So I offered them to store some of their equipment at my apartment because I had a huge closet to store the speakers, their piano, and a lot of their things. And also I was on their worship team, and I was always at their meetings, involved. And to be honest, I wasn't doing it for them. I was doing it for God, and I felt God was calling me. Mm-hmm. Oh, also, if you see me looking over here, it's because we have a monitor, and I'm also, talking to Crystal. Last summer, July 1st, I needed help to move to my new apartment. And in Boston, if y'all know, you don't have any transportation, okay? You just walk to everything. It's a city. So I asked in a few months ahead of a time and for help. And when the day came, long story short, they didn't show up. They didn't call, text, nothing. It was also part of my fault. I should have followed up on them the night before. And I followed up on them a week before as well. Actually, they even asked me. So they're like, yeah, if you need any help, you know, we'll help you. And that also involved a friend. That friend that invited me to that church. And she's like, yeah, I just slept over at her house actually that night, and I saw her that morning, okay? And she's like, yeah, I'll come, yada yada yada. And she didn't. And then when I messaged her, she's like, oh, sorry, I need my personal time today, you know? And I'm like, that's fine, but if you would have told me before, like, that would have been great. But you even said this morning that you were coming over to help me. And from there on, like, you know, with the church and everything, like, I left that church and I was really hurt. And I really trusted them. And I really loved them too. And from there on, our friendship was going downhill. I mean, I knew it. There was like this awkwardness and everything. And I really didn't want that to be the case. And also this person, they moved. So I'm not gonna say where they moved to because some of y'all may know those people. And I don't necessarily want to, you know, call them out.
Right.
I mean, I am calling them out, but at the same time, you know.
Respect their name.
Respecting, yes. So, with that friend, you know, I went to their concerts, I went everything, I went to support them even, you know. Anyways, so because we were in different places, now let's move to earlier of this year, January. So I moved out to California, and you know, it was a difficult time. I've dealt with anxiety. I think it's like everybody has anxiety, but I think I had, like, you know, anxiety disorder. And so it was to a point that I was giving myself hives every single day. I wanted to keep in contact with my friends. We were long distance, and also I was doing a project for them for a favor. I wasn't charging them. I'm not gonna say, because again, keep things certain private. But you know, when it came to contacting, ooh, okay, so I mean, I might as well. So there's another friend. So all three of us are friends. Let's name one Jane and the one Emily. Sorry if those are your names. But Jane, okay, let's put Jane, the one that I had you know, the tension with from the church. So I was moving to California and was about to. And Emily told Jane, oh, you know, Angel's gonna be moving to California. She prayed about it. And come to find out, Jane wasn't happy. She was not very supportive about it. And I didn't know this because then a few days later, Emily, she told me, oh, you know, Jane wasn't happy about you going, and she was really questioning and yada yada yada. After I got off the phone with Emily and she told me that, then Jane calls me. I'm in Ohio right before I go to California, and she said, oh, I'm so happy for you that you are moving to California, yada yada yada. And I already knew, but I'm not person that wants to cause drama.
Yeah.
I knew if I brought this up, this would affect all three of our relationships.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to affect that. And it was still this time in this moment that like I'm fighting for this friendship to last. But since that, you know, church issue, our friendship was never the same. And so because like Jane took the church's side and Emily, like she's also friends with Jane and I, and Emily, she didn't really give me any type of advice or any type of comfort. Like I was being distraught because at the time I was lonely. At the time I felt like I was being spiritually attacked, and almost to a point I thought I was crazy. So, and I thought someone was following me. Yeah, I didn't want to affect the friendship between the three of us. I really still wanted to be friends with Jane, because I'm not gonna say I regretted our friendships with Emily and Jane, because they helped me develop my faith and be really close and have a relationship with God. I'm not saying everything that we did was, you know, like I'm just gonna throw it away. No, like those memories, like they were there with me throughout just college. So yeah, so with Jane, I was doing her a favor with the project, and I really felt called to do it because also it was, you know, a song for the Lord. So, and it also involved another person. And I kept contacting. She's in a different place. All three of us on this project, there are three of us, and we're all in different cities, different places throughout the world. And you know, I'm doing it and I'm sending it to them, and like she's not answering, which is a little frustrating. But when I send it to her, when she does respond, like, you know, she's like, oh, I love it. And then there was also a situation with the third person, and basically that person didn't like what I was doing, couldn't tell it to my face. If you have a problem with something and you know I'm doing you, tell me. Don't tell it to the other person and then tell me. No. And
yeah, if it's something that you want and something that you need done, I would think the person that really needs it would want to call back and be like, is this okay? Should we do this? I want to do this with you. You would think.
Well, we didn't. Also, this person wasn't a friend. This person was a friend of Jane, but this wasn't a person I was friends with. But yes, that is correct, because it was just ridiculous. Anyways, but I would message her and be like, hey, what's up? How you doing? I know you busy too. But like, she wouldn't message me like maybe once, if it's frequent, once every 2 weeks. But otherwise, sometimes I wouldn't hear from her for multiple months. And what got me, like, I mean, I was a little sad, I was a little envy, was that Emily, she'd be like, oh, have you heard from Jane? And I was like, no. And I was like, oh, well, I just recently talked to her. Exactly. And I was like, yo, I just messaged her and like say, hey, let's have a time to FaceTime, you know, what's up? And she never responded to me. Also, communication.
Right.
Here's the funny part. They were communicating through WhatsApp. And on WhatsApp, you can see if they read it.
You can't hide from nobody.
When they're on. So I know.
Which is bold of them. They should look. Let me tell y'all WhatsApp people. If you know you the type of person that be like, I'ma look at it, but I'ma take a minute to go back. This app ain't for you. This app ain't for you unless you know how to turn it off. But these people be like, I know I did it, but I'm gonna be bold enough not to turn. I'm gonna just be a gangster and just be like, yeah, you see what I'm doing. You see what I'm doing. But go ahead. That's
Ooh, I almost said this person's name. I know Jane has been on. So it's like, and same with Emily, because also it wasn't just Jane, it was also Emily, closer to the pandemic.
She just not answering.
And like maybe like I understand, like maybe like also I was going through a lot mentally. I was not doing great, and even the family friend that I was staying with, they had a lot of concerns. You know, they were telling my mom, and I was like, oh, Emily, she's like not responding. Or if like we do FaceTime, like, you know, like I wouldn't be texting them every day, but I'm like, yo, what is up? Like, how are you doing? You know, like they would always talk about my personal relationship with God, and sometimes I don't want to be sharing, you know? That is your relationship, like, you know, your husband and spouse, or relationship with you and your mom that you can't really share with your friends sometimes. And they would always be asking me, and it just felt like a mentor and like not friends anymore. They were through college mentors and friends, but yeah.
Right. You're really trying to give me an advice and a what I need to do right now? Are you really trying to teach me something right now?
Because like February, March, I really started doubting our friendship, and I'm like, well, ever since that situation of last summer, it hasn't been okay, you know? And yeah, it just, it's like, what can I do? And you know, and then anyways, now I'm gonna go into more details with Emily. So yeah, with the situation with Jane, she's like, you need to confront Jane about it. You need to talk to her. And I was like, in my head, I was like, yes, but no. Because also in the past, I was scared of Jane because of, I've seen her how she's treated some people, and especially Emily, because we used to be in this club in college, and Emily at one point, I'm gonna spill beans, but she wanted to leave, and at one point I wanted to leave. And to be honest, I don't know the real reason. I can only speculate, but sometimes you can't assume because it's false information. But I heard her yell at her, and we stepped out, and she was going hard on Emily, and I was scared because if you ever get her mad, if I ever seen her mad, ooh, it's like, I'm scared of you. Like, I don't know what you would do. And it's like, if you don't like to hear what somebody has to say, I don't think she would take, like, I don't think it would turn out good. And I was scared of confronting Jane. That's why I never confronted her. And probably I should have. But, yeah. So, anyways, Emily told me to confront, and I'm also gonna talk about, you know, I was very supportive of her.
Dedication to your friend.
I really loved these two with all my heart. Like, I looked up to them as a role model, as older sisters, because they were like 2 to 7 years older than me. And like Emily, I was there when she didn't think her voice was great, And I was with her throughout the journey of her process of, you know, her voice, of her being confident. And you know, I was there for her major performance. And last fall she would invite me to all her worship nights. She was now the lead worship leader, and you know, she didn't think like, oh, why did, like, it was a process, like, why did the pastor pick me when there's other girls that are way better? But because she was genuine in her worship leading, and so she invited me to her worship leading. She was getting an award, and the award was about half an hour to an hour drive out of Boston. To a point, I had to take a train. The train stopped because it was too far. Then I had to take a $15 Uber just to get there. And that night, another friend, he invited me to a worship concert that he was in. And I was like, yeah, for sure, I'm gonna go. This thing starts at 4. It's gonna probably end around 9 or 10. The other concert doesn't really start till 10 p.m. because that's how Berkeley, sometimes that's how it works. And it's 9 o'clock and it's still not done. And you know, my ears, I never thought, like, when people say your ears can get tired, I never experienced that till that night. And we're at 9 o'clock. It is not even halfway through the event. I'm like, bro, we're still on this song. Like, we're in the middle. It didn't end till 12. I missed my friend's concert that I promised him that I would be at. And I was the only friend there. Like, Jane, well, she moved. And even this person's boyfriend, fiance, he didn't come. Yeah. Like, nobody came. Even people from her church, like whoever she considered friends, no one came. No one came except me. And I even brought her flowers. Anyways, and she's, you know, engaged, getting married. She wanted to also, you know, do bridal stuff, and so I helped her. And oh, let me tell you, do not do this. Do not do this. Please don't, unless you know that person truly and deeply. You know, I was at this person, Emily, I was also at her graduation. Like, everything that happened, I was there. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's like, I love to give, but at the same time, yes. At the same time, I don't care if I keep giving you stuff, but my thing is, appreciate it, okay? Yeah, because also, when we cut off, I realized how much I needed to appreciate things. So she was looking at bridal stuff and I was helping her. I was really excited, and I even got her nails done for graduation. Anyways, so it was the fall. At Berkeley, we have work studies. So a lot of the people who are running some of the stuff is mostly students. So I'm working at the booking office in my school, and I get paid, like, you know, minimum wage, except I got promoted. And Emily, she already graduated. She graduated last spring, and, you know, like, I was helping her with the bridal stuff. And like, I even, like, she's like, what do brides do? Like, you know, I said, usually there's like a bridal shower party, but what we can do is have the bridesmaids and, like, you know, sisters and the mothers, like, we can just have like a small little gathering with like food. And she's like, that's great. I even bought the bridesmaids like, you know, like to make goodie bags, okay? And I bought it. I saved money. Like 2 years prior, Emily was telling me to save for her wedding and yada, and I did. I am a saver, but I also do spend, but I don't spend what I don't have. So I bought some of like the bridal stuff. I bought cute little robes. I bought the goodie bags. I bought at least $300 worth of stuff, and even the goodie bags had makeup in it, skincare, and like she even at one point was like, oh, can you also like make a goodie bag for both her moms and the grandmas? I'm like, bro, that's like another $100, but I did. I was like, okay, why not? And then she kept telling me, oh, she doesn't have money. Do not do this. Unless you know that her other family. I mean, I did know her. I didn't know her,
right,
like family really well, but I met them several times. I met them at least 3 times. And but I wasn't like, you know, how I am with Crystal's parents and how Crystal is with my parents. Why, like, I don't have any money. Like, I don't have any money to like buy my dress. Like, she kept saying this to me. And then we even went to a wedding shop because she wanted to, and she actually found her dream dress, but it was $1,500, and her budget was $200 to $300. Hey, I'm not judging. You can get a dress for that, you know, simple. And so anyways, I felt bad. Her budget was $300 to $400, and she kept telling me this. And so I already saved like around like $900. I spent like $300 or $200 to $300 on the other stuff. And I had exactly $400. And I was like, okay, you know what, Angel? Give it to her. She needs it more than you do. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay. And so I give it to her, and I'm like, hey, since you keep telling me that you don't have money for your wedding dress, here's the $400. And she found her like dress, and it was like $450 to close to about, I would say $480. And so basically she would just have to pay like $50 to $80 rest. So I gave the $400 to her. So initially I bought her a dress, technically. Anyways, and she's like, oh, thank you so much, Angel, you know, you're like the best friend ever. And like, okay, that's great. Yeah, love you too. I really did love her and like consider her as a sister. And then comes to this spring, and
I feel bad already.
I really kept doubting like our friendship in March. This was right before the pandemic. I just moved out here. Like, she's not responding to my messages, and she's like, oh, I'm so busy and yada yada yada. And like, you know I don't respond, you know, messages. You know I'm really bad at messaging back. I'm really bad at messaging back. Like, sometimes she wouldn't answer me for 2 weeks, and I know she's on it because WhatsApp tells me. And then also, like, I knew some of her things like that was going to be happening, but I didn't. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for part 2 that will be posted on Monday. Bye, y'all.